The Portal 2 cast.
Let the games begin.
In 3, 2.
It's Friday, so I'm going to actually take some requests. The first request is by a user named Donderbus, and he was actually one of the very first to request something, and so he was probably this show's first viewer, so it would be unfair to leave him out. First, I like that there's not too many elements, so there's a bit going on here. The first time I launched this, if you see that dripping there, I mistook that for conversion gel, and it's actually cleansing gel. And the annoying thing is there's no way to get it anywhere without using this excursion funnel back and forth, so it's actually not that useful to you. I imagine it was to clean off some spaces if you put red gel, if you can see the dropper back there, a bunch of places, and then it was too easy to run off into the water, which it is, but that cleansing gel is too hard to use because you're practically resolving a piece of the puzzle just to grab it. So that's one thing. If you're going to give me cleansing gel, make it a little bit easier for me to use. The other thing right off that I'm not very satisfied with is the lighting. This is a very enclosed space, lots of non-portable areas, and despite that, there's not very many lights at all, especially in this first chamber. As you get over here into this side of the puzzle, it does improve a bit. The other thing I will say about this chamber is that the way that I solved it, I'm not sure whether I solved everything the way I was supposed to, or I just kind of cheesed it, and I'll show you what I mean. This button here drops the red gel, and this button here closes that panel. If you try to excursion funnel this red gel out of here through there, excuse me, if I portal that way, through there, and then try to get into that portal, you get pulled across to the grate. So what I actually ended up doing was this kind of thing, and this was how I found to solve it. I'm not sure if this way is correct, but you see how it's difficult to catch the red gel in that cube right there, although that panel comes into play later, so maybe this is intentional. But you kind of have to cheese your funnel around that cube area. My method is just I'm going to ride over here with this, which unfortunately stops the red gel, but you get a chance to recover it a bit as you come down here and pull some of the red gel that you have in there out this way. Oh, and I didn't drop it from the portal. So that is probably enough. I'm going to quick save just in case, but what that lets us do is run and jump across here. Yep. And then I was relieved when I got over here. One thing I didn't like is when I got over here, and when I first played the test too, there were kind of lots of goals going on. I ran in because I'd already played the test and showed you what the buttons did, but I spent some time trying to figure that out, which is okay, except that I wasn't sure if I should try to get over here. I wasn't sure if I was messing with the right button first, and that sort of thing. You get over here, and there's a couple of things going on as well. Not too much, but it's a little bit of a convoluted, like that groove there. In a lot of tests, that might be for something, but it appears to be merely decorative here. So some of the way that the cubes are structured, I'm just curious what the thinking was. You know, why that hole in the ceiling, for example? It's kind of hard to know. So the immediate thing that this gives us is the cube, which I actually didn't mean to send that way, and I will now have to. Hopefully, he's just in the beam still, and I didn't send him somewhere else. Yep, there he is. So I can get him back without too much trouble. So the cube is... oh my. This is not looking good. This sort of thing I'm talking about, this test is actually a little bit of punishing in ways that I'm not sure it's meant to be. Although I did survive that, that's okay. I'm going to quick save again. Easy to die on this map. There's lots of water. The excursion funnel, it's easy to make a portal mistake where you have it in the right place. I initially thought the cube was for that button to let you funnel something over on the other side, but I toyed with that for a while, and it didn't really do much. So what this does let me do is going to red gel that panel there. Remember I said it would come into play later, which I actually like. You know, it's an early element, but I wish he'd moved it so it wouldn't have seemed to interfere with the red gel here, it could have been much further down, so your excursion funnel would have been a little bit easier, unless part of the test was just finding that exact right position around there. That angle panel I played with for a long time, trying to figure out if it was for the excursion funnel, but no, it just goes up in the ceiling if you do that. But there's just a little bit of lip over there. I also excursioned out over the water, I don't know how many times, to try and get a better angle in that corner, or see if I could see over there, or see what was back there any better, and there wasn't anything. So maybe I will, although that's kind of hard to get back then. I made another portaling mistake. Actually, I don't think it matters. I think there's enough here on the edge I can go through. That's my earlier problem. We will find out. And launch to victory. Not a problem. Nice clean lighting over here on this side, probably the prettiest part of the map. And a trapped Franken turret, which is funny. I've done that myself. And anyway, good test overall. So I'm going to say good job. Good job on this Donderbus. I did enjoy playing it once I got into it. Had some early critiques for you that I hope will help. This is got by Lemonator, and it's called Lemonator Chamber 3. And this clearly is a reference to Incendiary Lemons. And if you doubted it by the name, wait until you see the test. It's hard for me to say if this test is good, but it is certainly one of the most interesting I've ever played. Because rather than cheesing or just, you know, figuring out a way around things. Now, first of all, this placard is daunting. I do not like tests that give me, you know, 10 elements already. So notice, if you will, there's nothing for me to portal up there. There's one here, but where am I going to make my exit? It's kind of hard to get anywhere with that. And then over here, there's a laser drill and a button. So I seem to be trapped, but, you know, on a hunch, I just went over here and hit my use key, and it activated the stairs. So, despite the fact that the grill seems to separate you, you're meant to hit the button through it. So, it looks like you're trapped, but then if you just know that your reach is a little bit longer than the vision of your reach appears to be, and you can grab things through barriers, then you will know how to beat this. This, obviously, is a trap that if I picked up this cube, I would be in trouble. So what I did instead was just shoot back there. You can just barely see there's white walls back there, and come back down here. The stairs drop back down after a bit, and come around behind these guys. This button doesn't do much except give you the cube right back, except that it is useful, I forgot, for getting across the laser bridge just to snag the cube. Now the turrets are dead. So here again is a place where you appear to be trapped. The only portal thing higher up doesn't have any surface to connect to. You can't stand on anything. You obviously can't reach that laser drill, and you would die if you did anyway. And there's that button there. What I do like is that he's indicated square, square, so plainly you can see that that will unlock something here, a panel that lets you go further. But how to put the button on the cube is a little bit cheesy in my opinion. Just like that laser drill in the first place, you have to kind of understand the mechanics of the game. For example, I doubt my wife would get this, but she gets the intuitive thinking puzzles very easily. But to jump and drop that cube over there probably wouldn't occur to her, because it's more of an execution thing. Now we get into probably my least favorite chamber, because it's very complex. But because Lemonator has given us short goals so far, I begin to trust him, and that's the importance of putting short, measurable goals into your tests, so that the player feels like they're getting somewhere, and you begin to build trust with them that you know what you're doing, and that you have a plan for them, that it's actually going somewhere. And so the plan here, this probably took me the longest, but I'm going to drop up there, because it's one place I haven't been yet, and that just lets me recover the cube. Which doesn't come into play yet. I'm going to show you something else first. There's a reflection cube down there, sitting on that button. It's catty corner because of the way it's spawned in the map. But you can see the button is lit, which activates these stairs. And if you take them off, the button stairs go back down. So this cube, without leaving him there, you're trapped. One thing I don't like, this corridor is very narrow, and it's easy to become trapped in these stairs a little bit. And also, this thing going up every time you get on it can make you a bit seasick or just annoyed. It's not that big of a deal, but I like a little bit of elegance given to tests where the player can maneuver without too much trouble or annoyance and that sort of thing. Just could be improved on slightly. That cube, I'm going to need to reuse my core portal, and here's what I don't like about this. There's so little room to maneuver, but this possibly is because Lemonator wants such an execution-based puzzle. But I'm on a 1x1 square island here with a portal beneath me. I'm at risk of falling in the water at any second just by even slipping a key. I'm going to quick save just in case because of that. And then, of course, I need to get back up there. So now I have this cube, and I can trade it out for the one down here. There's just so little room to maneuver back here that it doesn't want. I didn't even grab that cube. I wanted this one. Stuck briefly. Jumping seems to correct it fairly easily. And now I will get on this thing, and it's easy just to let the elevator carry you into hitting that button which stops the elevator. So that activated this bridge, which you need to get across here. So you're immediately drawn to this laser drill, and no way through it and no way across it. And notice also there's no lights connecting the laser drill to anything. There's lights going through there, but I'll show you what they're for in a bit. This test, by the way, is very punishing all around. I've done fairly well so far, but one misstep, and if you're not quick saving, you're going to repeat the whole thing. And there's a couple of steps that are very frustrating to have to do several times. This happens to be one of them. So I've landed on the elevator, and I've jumped across without trouble. And then he's put this pre-splat blue gel down there, so I can jump down and back up, but haven't helped you if you missed that because you'll have to go around and do the whole thing again. And usually when you hit that faith plate, you're going to bounce up and down with your head hitting the elevator, and even when you get above it, you may not land on it. So Lemonator seems a fan of execution-based puzzles. He wants the player to have to think on his feet, and he also wants you to he wants to punish you a bit, which is in keeping with his screen name. When I got back here, I didn't know what the cube was for, but I just grabbed it anyway. Back on the upstairs hallway, and you come out here. So here's where I actually started to look at the lines and stuff rather than following intuition. And that is the exit portal there. And there's this huge piston thing covering it, and that piston thing has ant lines going around behind. So I want to give Lemonator credit for cueing the player into what to do without telling them, because you can't get back here. But I looked at this for a little bit, and I thought, well, it's a laser and not a grill, which means I can't cross, but the cube can. And again, having to understand the game's cheese a little bit, this is the kind of puzzle he's created. So you can throw the cube in there, and what I do like that he's done, if I can get close enough to show you, he's got a cube button back there, or maybe a regular button, but he has an excursion funnel pointing straight at it, so if you get this right, there's no chance that that button is going to miss, that the cube is going to miss the button. You are going to be able to beat the test if you figure out what to do with this laser drill. So I really like that. That has activated the ant trail, and now you have to do this kind of thing with the to get on this upstairs elevator. And you can tell I've played this test a few times based on the fact that I managed to do it first try, and then we're down here and out. So this was a really good test, but it was very frustrating to play the first time. I hope you can see why. There's places where you feel trapped, constrained, and punished for even the slightest mistake. So, but I think Lemonator, I think that's what he's going for, and that's great. People sometimes really enjoy harder tests, and I know a big part of the community loves execution-based puzzles, and this was both. You had to execute nothing really hard, but you just had to think on your feet and land correctly in the air and not walk into any of the traps. And then on top of that, there was some thinking involved. So great job. I hope that others will play other maps of yours as a result of this episode. So thanks for mapping, and have a great night. Have a great weekend. I will see you Monday for Monday Madness, which is a weekly challenge that I will host. You can see this on the Steam community for Portal 2, that I have posted the challenge for next Monday, and I won't give you all the details on here. Just go have a look, and you can see it's called Portal 2 Cast Monday Madness in the thread. Find it, look up the rules, and I hope you'll submit a puzzle. Thanks, have a great night.